everybody today. Not because of you. And somebody's already noticed I brought the board back because today the passage we have to. We're going to have an English lesson. We're going to have a Greek lesson, and it's going to be fun for me, and I hope it's going to be fun for y'all too, because this is a passage that we all. Well, let me just say it's pretty familiar in Christian education, at least my upbringing, and so we'll look at that in a second. Um, First of all, we have today. Today, in the Protestant church, we recognize Reformation Sunday, and also October 31st is All Hallows Eve. That's a that's a very important aspect of the religious holiday too. That bleeds over into November 1st, All Saints Day. So this is, to me, in a part of church history where part of the church says, "Oh, no, 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 Halloween is bad. It's bad. It's not a good thing. It's spooky or whatever, and we shouldn't. We have fall festivals instead." That really and truly Halloween is real is it has been part of the church for many many years, and in a very important way, because All Saints Day was the day that the church remembered the martyrs, those who had given their life for the faith. It used to be the church would sell when in the early church, when someone was martyred for their faith, you'd remember them on that day. Well, then of course after there's 365 days, um, more martyrs start adding up, and they start through the year, and then it's hard to keep up with that, and then so they move it all to one day. And so All Hallows Eve, or Halloween, uh, is also a very important part, because that's you start remembering those who've gone on before you. And then suddenly, as the years go by, in the church, many, 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 many years pile on and go on, we start remembering not just the martyrs, those who have given their life for their faith, but those who have lived their life in faith and have gone before us, and who help build our faith foundation in our lives. And so the 31st, yes, Halloween has been commercialized and turned into a very different thing, and as Jamie Lee Curtis would say, very profitable for her. But and every candy manufacturer there is, they're doing very well. But that aside, th- this is kind of really important day also for Reformation, as far as the Protestant church, because this is when is when Martin Luther has his 95 theses, his 95 questions, his 95 discussion points, and he wants to get a good crowd. He wants a conversation. He's not. He's turned into this reformer, this protester, this Protestant, this person who was railing against the church. It didn't start out that way. He wants to have a conversation. He wants to have theology on tap. That's what he wants about these questions in the church. And he just, at least in my opinion, he wants he wants this conversation about indulgences. That is, y'all, we're just charging too much, and if we have this conversation about God and about the church, everybody will come to this conclusion that obviously this is not where we need to be, and then we can change the church and move on. Little did he know, or he came to find out, that um, little monks and second tier, third tier universities in Wittenberg and the like don't get to make statements like that, especially when the Pope's behind it, and he thinks the Pope doesn't really know. Maybe, it's or, and so he finds himself in a lot of trouble. And had it been a different day, he probably would have been excommunicated, burned at the stake, and ta-da, there you go. But with everything else going on in the world, he had some friends and some power in Germany to help him out. Um, and so thus the Reformation. And so that's how, we have all that going on. And so it really is an important part of the church and the church calendar, that we think about just that the church is reformed, and it is always reforming, and that God is ever at work in our lives and continues to mold us and move us to different places than where we were before. That's important. Also, with the other part where we have this remembrance of those who've gone on before us, and we include that in the prayers of the people today, those who've died in the past year, and always hoping and praying I didn't overlook somebody, or that that didn't get and that no one got missed. That, and then, but also just in our own, who is it that has helped, who has gone on before me now, who helped build my faith, and I stand on their shoulders. Really important stuff. Okay. Now, to Luke. Zacchaeus. Everybody familiar? I was gonna say, I was gonna do it. I was just gonna stand over here. Zacchaeus was, and watch y'all let y'all do that. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and wee little man was he. Climbed up in a sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. Okay, Zacchaeus, you come down, and because I'm going to your house today. All right, so there we go. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind how you know the story and how you've always understood the story, and we'll take it from there, okay? Because we might have another perspective today. All righty. Zacchaeus 19, 1 through 10. Luke 19, 1 through 10. There is no Zacchaeus in the Bible like that. Okay, Luke 19, 1 through 10. He entered Jericho and was passing through it, and a man named Zacchaeus, he was a chief tax collector and was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd, he could not because he was short in stature. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him, because he was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to that place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today. So he hurried down and was happy to welcome him. All who saw it began to grumble and said, he has gone to be the guest of one who is a sinner. Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, look, half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor, and if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much. Then Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because he too is a son of Abraham, for the Son of Man came to seek out and to save the lost. Familiar. What did you hear? What jumps out? Or what did you miss before, maybe? Uh-huh. Okay. Uh-huh. Ooh, we might get to the punchline closer than I thought. No, that's good. No, this is a great conversation. Now, your question one more time. Why did he volunteer to give it away? So what was the verse? Let's go back. Okay, yeah. Okay. So let's get to verse 8. Zacchaeus stood there and said to Jesus, look, half of my possessions I will give. Give? Okay. Is it so? English people out there, that is in tenses, that would be future. Thank you. Woo. All right. English lesson 101. Here we go. This is good. And let's go on. And I will pay back 4 times. And I will. Yeah, but okay, just work with me. One more time. Future. All right. Get ready. Okay, so it's I will do this. If the second one's if I defrauded somebody, Yeah, you're right. Okay, so now let's ask ourselves too, because of the way this passage is set up. First of all, um, what does Luke tell us about him? He is a tax collector. Wait a second. He is a chief tax collector. Very, very important part. It's this right. He is at the top of the Amway Shiite terrorist Ponzi scheme. Okay, yeah. So he is the one making the money. People down the line, tax collectors may or may not have made money. It could be a break-even process. Okay, because you have to get what Rome is asked, but then if you want to make money, you have to get more, so you get to walk. Because so if I have to give $25 to Rome, then if I want to make something for me, I got to get $35. And if I have to get $35, and then to be, what else did Luke tell us? Luke loves to say this word. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. Thank you. Chief. Right there. And rich. Luke loves to point out two words, poor and rich. He is always about that. He has a big issue with disparity. Okay? Not me. That's just his thing. Okay. So we know that he is a chief. So when we get to that if, our first recollection, or at least the way the story gets framed to us, what are we saying about him? Well, if you defrauded anybody, we've already made our conclusion, right? He did. We're going if. There ain't no if. Okay. Hold on to that thought. Because this is so much fun, isn't it? Okay. So we yeah. Well, well, that hurts me. So we've already got this in mind that Jesus is interacting with this guy. He says, "Come down." And what does Jesus do here in this story? He sees him and he just says, "What? I'm coming to your house today." Yeah, hey, get down from that tree, man. Yeah, he does. He does do that. I mean, and everybody good with that? Jesus says, "Hey, I'm coming to your house. I must come to your house." I mean, well, I don't know. Yeah. So Jesus gets away with that. I don't get to, people coming out the end of the door today go, "Hey, I'm coming over today for lunch, okay?" And everybody, okay, no. No, it's just, no. It's like, Jesus, Savior of the ages, gets away with it, but not me. Okay. But he comes over, and what do the people do? They're griping because they already understand that this guy is a sinner. Already made up our mind, right? We've already made up our mind this guy's a sinner. That's the story. Okay? And then what makes him change his mind? Okay. Great question. Because there's two lines of this story. And let's take the traditional line first, okay? Because we're in what tense here? Future. So this storyline is that Jesus shows up, and what happens to Zacchaeus? He changes. He is converted. And on the spot, what makes him do that? So, yes, he did. Yeah. He already wanted to see Jesus. Okay. That is the traditional understanding. Absolutely. And there's a great reason why this is the way we understand the story. So, do we have any responses for Daryl's question? What would make him want to do that? Fear? Okay. Possible? Conscience? Could be the comments, that's right. Yeah, could be that is this his response to Jesus? Jesus shows up and whoa, he is transformed and in this moment, um, and then his only response to what Jesus says is, wow, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better. Do better, okay? I love it. Do better. Everybody like this? Everybody good? And somebody was like, you know, you can't say. I know. Well, I'm going to. Hold on. You just, yeah, I know you've had privy to the discussion. Okay, but this is, and I have to tell you honestly, this is the way. This is the version that I'm using for the sermon today. Okay, the traditional notion of Jesus comes and it transforms his life. Yeah. Yeah. Bing. Absolutely. That this is that there is this response to, because what did Jesus say to them after that? Um, Today salvation comes to this house. Yes. Boom. And that's how we, I mean, and through the history Jesus of the church, Jesus shows up. And the church is reformed and continues to change. Jesus shows up, and I can't say too much because then I give you the whole sermon, and then y'all go, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's just, yeah, we can't. And we can't have that. But this notion that yes, can there be this opportunity that Jesus actually comes and reforms somebody because he's there, because he enters the situation. That is a great translation of this story. It is one of the two. There is another one. Are y'all ready for the second one that you've probably never thought about and wouldn't have a reason to think it? Because, here you go. Just checking my time. Our English translations have him saying these sentences in future tense. This will happen. Okay. And this is, again, you know, these stories come up every year. I preach this sermon every 3 years. I'm always jumping on Zacchaeus. This is a great story. I love this story. For the first time in 27 years, for whatever reason, I go back and go, let's look at the Greek text here one time. And it's written in the present tense. Why did we translate it in English in the future? But it's written in present. Not I will give. It's Jesus, I am giving. I am paying. I'm doing these things already. Look what I'm doing. I know, right? Or that all these people had labeled him a sinner, who were so sure that they were right. Jesus shows up at his house. He's like, what's the problem? I'm already doing. I'm doing this, and I'm doing this. Now, what does that do to the story? it is a reaffirmation story. Hey, all y'all guys had it wrong. All you people out here grumbling, you were wrong about this guy. You thought he was this. He- It's well, what it could say was, what else did Jesus say to him? Um, for he too is the son of Abraham. That all these people that are griping about him consider themselves a part of the fold because they are already a son of Abraham. Which, according to the Jewish tradition, that's right. They've been circumcised. They are already a part of the people of faith. And Jesus is just pointing out to them, he is too. He is too. And their assumptions about him are incorrect. Oh, so this Zacchaeus, who was a wee little man, he already was doing all this stuff. And Jesus kind of reaffirms his place. Hey, salvation, I am salvation. But he's already a part. And y'all were totally wrong. Yikes. Now, I have to tell you, in this past week, it kind of throws me off because Bruce Metzger is one of my great heroes and New Revised Standard Version, Princeton Seminary professor. He just retired before I got in there. But he was like one of those major. I'm like, why did y'all decide to do it this way? Why did y'all translate in future tense when it's really present? Why did they do that? I mean, I'm sure they had reasons, but I kind of it could be an inherent bias that we, yeah, that's the way it should read. That's right. Yeah, Luke got it wrong, and Luke should have really said it this way, you know. we, which is an interesting conversation with Bart Ehrman, who was a professor at Chapel Hill, who's always used to talk about the corruption of orthodoxy. Was that through the history that this orthodox theological position was formed, and that over time the text found its way to fit this theological decision. Now, a lot of people take exception to Bart Ehrman, but I just leave that out there for you. Okay. So, now if we look at it this way, now what does it do to us? What does this story do? It does? How does it help your faith? Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. And then the second way, if he's already there, how does that change us? But, yeah. maybe the people that really needed to be changed. The story isn't so much, oh, Zacchaeus needed to be changed. The story is everybody else needed to be changed. The story is about change. And the story is about Jesus showing up, and this aspect of salvation comes. That Jesus always shows up. This is a great intersection here, because this part of Luke, this ends this kind of travel narrative of where Jesus, he's very clear when he goes up on the mountain of transfiguration, his face is set on Jerusalem. And that's what, back in chapter 9 or something like that. That Jesus is going straight to Jerusalem. He is going straight to the cross. He ain't turning back now. That's the story. That's the travel. We're in a travel log. We're in the Jesus cross tour. And he's headed straight to the cross. And then in these last several chapters is kind of the outcast tour. That Jesus starts pointing out people that everybody else thinks is the outcast. Think about some of the stories we've had. Good Samaritan, prodigal son, um, the Pharisee and the tax collector praying, in that how that story gets flipped upside down. Lazarus and the rich man. Um, those stories, Jesus always the person that gets picked as the winner is the outcast. And this is the last story that takes from here. He's heading into Jerusalem for the last time. And Palm Sunday, in this text, now we jump off that in a little bit because we got to go to, we got to get towards Advent here. Our year's running out, I mean, it's almost Christmas. Yeah, see, I'm sorry, but it's you better get your presents, okay? You start getting your presents. Christmas is coming. But this is the end of this is the last story. Zacchaeus is that guy. So there's two different ways we can the Greek is different than the way we read it. Wow. And so I've spent this whole week going, oh, all my life I've understood it one way, and there's another way. And in all honesty, I couldn't change it in my head for the sermon. I was like, no, I got to go this way. I got to go this way. You got to give me 3 more years before I can deal with this, okay? We see, and that's also too. I mean, isn't that kind of funny how when things come to light in stories and in text, and we learn something, and it takes us a while to shift. Oh, that's another possibility. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah. 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 Yes. Very odd story. Yes. Right. Right. He is very much yes, and he is, and I think he also there's something else too about that yeah, this line of the present tense can make a lot more sense. First of all, you're right. Rich guy, way out of character, be climbing a tree. He does, and we all know that. Okay, kids climb trees. Adults do not. Chief tax collectors certainly do not. Okay, good point. And that, yeah, he's already looking for something, and also looking for some kind of validation too. If we look at it from the Greek text of the present tense, he's like, I'm glad you're here. I just like to point out all these people have me labeled, and they're wrong. I'm not that bad guy. Which also pushes us to another place, too, that we've always understood these people to be bad. Even Luke, people who are rich in Luke's stories never are the winner. They're always the loser, except in the story. And what else happens, too? One thing we don't know about Zacchaeus going forward, I got to end, is we're never taught. He didn't say, okay, I've been transformed, or if I want y'all to know I'm really a good person. Y'all missed it, you bunch of Christian nut jobs or religious nut jobs, y'all Pharisees. But it didn't say, I will quit being a tax collector. That's right. He's still a tax collector. He's still a traitor. All we know is Luke says he's rich. So we're not privy to his tax records or any. I mean, he's going to be. Yeah, that's right. He is going to be considered a terrible person because of what he does. Yeah. we don't. That's right. We don't like the IRS. Y- That's right. That's right. They're bad. And these guys are even worse because they're not just doing it for their government; they're doing it for somebody else's government, and that does make you a terrible person. I mean, and they bullied people, and right, yeah. For the most part, the IRS leaves us alone, unless well, Willie Nelson probably couldn't say that, but I mean, you're right. But um, so there's that part. He never, but it does say, "Hey, y'all, he's one of you." By the way, you really should rethink how we treat other people, and remember in this story that no matter where we are in life, no matter how we see the world, that Jesus is ever showing up to offer some sense of salvation and transformation. That when we go, God, the world is terrible, it's just awful. Hmm. Jesus still shows up to offer transformation. That's pretty cool. And if he doesn't, then if we're the body of Christ, maybe we shouldn't either. Let's pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for this wonderful day, the day that we remember those who have gone before us, that we remember that you still show up, and that each and every one of us baptized into your place of family. And salvation comes to this house.